Let me ask you something important. If your income stopped tomorrow, how long could you survive? Not comfortably, not confidently, but honestly. Most people never ask themselves this question because the answer is uncomfortable. In the last video, I shared my own story, how I almost lost everything, not because I didn't work hard, but because I didn't understand money. After that video, many people said, "Your story sounds familiar, but maybe it only applies to you." So today, I want to take you inside two real-life stories. No gurus, no influencers, no overnight success. Just ordinary people who looked fine on the outside, until money revealed the truth. One earned more than most people ever will. The other believed she was terrible with money. Both were wrong, and both discovered lessons that can completely change how you think about money. Story number 1. The man who earned more than everyone, yet had nothing. Let me tell you about David. That's not his real name, but the story is real. David was the kind of person everyone admired. He worked in a high-paying corporate role. He wore sharp clothes. He drove a car that made people assume he had made it. By the time he was in his early 30s, David was earning more money than anyone else in his family. From the outside, his life looked successful. But behind closed doors, David was drowning. Every month followed the same pattern. Money came in, money went out. And somehow, no matter how large the paycheck was, there was never anything left. David wasn't irresponsible. He paid his bills. He never missed rent. But he had built a life that required his entire income just to survive. Luxury became normal, and normal became expensive. The breaking point came unexpectedly. One morning, David was called into a meeting. Budget cuts, restructuring. His role was eliminated, just like that. No warning, no backup plan. Within weeks, the life he had worked so hard to build started falling apart. Savings? Almost nothing. Investments? None. Options? Zero. For the first time in his adult life, David felt real fear. Not the fear of embarrassment, the fear of instability. That was the moment David realized a painful truth. High income had made him comfortable, but not secure. After months of stress, he made a decision that changed everything. He stopped trying to look successful and started trying to become stable. He downsized. He tracked every expense. For the first time, he learned how money actually worked. Not fast, not dramatically, but consistently. 2 years later, David didn't earn as much as he once did. But he had savings. He had investments. Most importantly, he had peace. And that peace was worth more than every luxury he lost. Lesson from story number 1. Income does not create freedom. Control does. Story number 2. The woman who thought she was bad with money. Now let me tell you about Anna. Anna believed something about herself for most of her life. I'm just bad with money. She wasn't lazy. She worked long hours, sometimes 2 jobs. But no matter how hard she tried, money never seemed to stay. Unexpected expenses, family responsibilities. Life always found a way to take more than she could save. So Anna stopped trying. She avoided looking at her bank account. She avoided planning, because facing the numbers made her feel like a failure. Everything changed because of one small moment. Anna attended a free workshop on personal finance. She almost didn't go. She told herself, "This isn't for people like me." But she went anyway. And for the first time, someone said something that stayed with her. "You don't have a money problem. You have a belief problem." That sentence hit her hard, because Anna realized she had been carrying shame, not facts. She started small. She saved tiny amounts. She learned basic principles. No pressure, no perfection, just progress. Months passed, then years. Slowly, something changed. Not her income, her confidence. She stopped seeing money as an enemy and started seeing it as a tool. Today, Anna still lives simply. But she has savings. She has stability. And for the first time in her life, she trusts herself with money. Lesson from story number 2. Your financial future is not limited by your past. It is shaped by what you believe you're capable of learning. The real lessons hidden. Inside these two stories, at first glance, David and Anna seem completely different. Different incomes, different lifestyles, different struggles. But their success didn't come from earning more. It came from thinking differently. Let's break down the real lessons, clearly, practically, and honestly. Lesson 1. High income does not equal financial safety. David is proof of something most people don't want to admit. You can earn a lot of money and still be financially fragile. Why? Because income is temporary. It depends on your job, your health, and circumstances you cannot control. Security comes from what you keep, not what you earn. What this means for you: if your lifestyle requires 100% of your income to survive, you are not free. You are exposed. True financial progress begins when you spend less than you earn. You build an emergency buffer. You stop upgrading your lifestyle before upgrading your stability. Lesson 2. Lifestyle inflation is a silent enemy. David didn't fail because he made one big mistake. He failed because of many small ones. Every raise came with a reward. Every reward became a requirement. Over time, comfort turned into a trap. What this means for you: every increase in income is a fork in the road. One path leads to more comfort. The other leads to more control. Choose control first. Comfort can wait. Lesson 3. Being bad with money is usually a belief, not a fact. Anna's biggest problem wasn't her income. It was her identity. She believed she was bad with money, so she stopped trying. And what we stop trying to improve never improves. What this means for you: money is not a personality trait. It is a skill. Skills can be learned. Your past mistakes are not proof of failure. They are proof that no one taught you properly. Lesson 4. Avoidance is more expensive than any mistake. Both David and Anna avoided looking at their finances. Not because they were irresponsible, but because they were afraid. Fear leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to chaos. What this means for you: clarity always comes before control. The moment you track your money honestly, even if the numbers are ugly, you regain power. Facing reality is not punishment, it is freedom. Lesson 5. Small, consistent decisions beat big emotional moves. Neither David nor Anna changed their lives overnight. No dramatic risks, no shortcuts, just boring, consistent habits. Tracking spending, saving regularly, learning slowly. What this means for you: financial transformation is not exciting, but it is reliable. And reliability is how freedom is built. What this means for you: if you feel behind, if you feel anxious every time you think about money, if you feel ashamed for not having it figured out yet, listen carefully. You are not weak. You are not irresponsible. And you are certainly not alone. Most people today are doing their best in a system that quietly makes money harder to understand, harder to control, and easier to lose. You were never taught how money really works in a world of constant comparison, rising costs, and invisible spending. So if you're struggling, it's not a personal failure, it's a knowledge gap, and gaps can be closed. Money does not require perfection. It does not demand genius. It does not reward shame. It requires awareness. Awareness of where your money goes. Awareness of why you spend the way you do. Awareness of the beliefs you've been carrying for years without questioning. Change doesn't come from one dramatic move. It comes from one honest decision, made calmly and repeated daily. That's how confidence is built. That's how control returns. That's how lives quietly but permanently change. You are not late. You are just beginning to see clearly. And that is always the first step forward. The biggest financial problem today is not low income. It is distorted thinking. We live in a system that constantly pushes us to spend now, upgrade fast, compare endlessly. But very few people are taught how to build margin, protect stability, Think long-term. David and Anna didn't succeed because they discovered a secret. They succeeded because they stopped outsourcing their thinking. They stopped letting culture decide their financial priorities and started asking better questions. Do I control my money, or does it control me? That question is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Here is the truth most people need to hear. You don't need to become obsessed with money. You need to become intentional with it. Financial freedom in today's world is not about luxury. It is about sleeping without anxiety, making decisions without panic, facing the future with clarity. That kind of freedom is built quietly, through awareness, through discipline, through patience. If you feel behind, don't rush. Rushing leads to mistakes. Instead, slow down and get clear. Track your money. Question your habits. Challenge the beliefs you inherited. Because the moment you change how you think about money, you change how money behaves in your life. And that is how real, lasting transformation begins. If there's one thing I hope you remember from this story, it's this. Your financial journey is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of what you were taught and what you're only now beginning to question. Most people never stop to do that. They stay busy. They stay distracted. They stay silent about their fears. But you didn't. You watched until the end because somewhere inside you, you know there has to be a better way. Not just to earn money, but to live with peace. And that awareness matters. Because real change doesn't start with more income. It starts with a moment of honesty. A moment where you decide to stop drifting and start choosing. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to take the next right step and then repeat it. Quietly, consistently, without comparing your timeline to anyone else's. If stories like this help you feel less alone, if they help you think more clearly about money, life, and the future you're building, then I invite you to stay. Subscribe to this channel. Not because I have all the answers, but because we're asking better questions together. And sometimes that's how real transformation begins. One story, one insight, one decision at a time. Your future is still being written, and it starts here.